I'm Tanya Hart, and welcome to Hollywood Live Extra. You know, we've been doing a lot of stuff during quarantainment, and we're so glad you're here with us. Between the pandemic, the protests, some people rioting, hashtag Me Too has not gone away. And in fact, it is alive and well with Tiffany Jackson's new book. It's titled Grown. She's right here with me. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for stopping by today. you know,
Thanks for having
you
me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Grown is available now and is was just released. When was it? Like this summer, or actually a few weeks ago, right?
No, it was released today. Today is release
Oh,
day.
today is the big day. Oh, I'm so
Yes.
honored that we've got you on your big premiere day then.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
that's fabulous. We've got copies that we'll be holding and showing it, but I did get a chance to actually read the book. Very well done. Of course, you are a celebrated author. This is not your first rodeo or your first party. This is your fourth book, I believe.
Yes.
But Grown, you know, we talk about hashtag Me Too. That was the leading news story for a couple of years until all this other stuff started happening. But like I said, it has not gone away. It's not going away. It has not gone away. And you really address this in a very modern novel with people that we kind of, I'm not saying people that we know and love, it, people that we know about. You know, it looks like you've got a bunch of composite characters. Tell me a little bit about the book and how it came to be, and especially the title.
So Grown is about a 17-year-old aspiring singer named Enchanted, who is swooned by a legendary yet older R&B superstar with promises of fame that leads her to turn against her friends and family until his body shows up and all fingers point to her. And now she must find a voice to bring her abuse to light, as well as prove her innocence. This book sort of was loosely inspired, really inspired by the reaction to the R. Kelly documentary, specifically about the criticizing girls and victim blaming and, you know, comments like, you know, oh, they knew what they were doing, or, you know, they were only doing it for money. And all I kept on thinking is, you know, you're talking about girls, you're talking about young girls who don't know the full scope of their actions versus a man who knows exactly what he's doing, and he knew better. And therefore we should be holding the adults in the room accountable for their actions rather than the children who are still trying to grapple and understand their own actions.
Exactly. And that there comes the title Grown. I'm assuming that that's kind of where that came from.
Yes.
You know, I've got to tell you, I read this, and I know at the very end of the book, you kind of tell everybody, no, this is not the R. Kelly story. This is not the R. Kelly story. And of course it isn't. But when I was reading this, Tiffany, it was really, almost the first time, I could really understand how R. Kelly got all those girls in that position. Seriously. I mean,
And honestly, that's the point.
Here, but reading this is like, that's how they do this.
And that's honestly the point of this book, is to actually answer the questions how girls are lured and manipulated into abusive relationships. Because that's one of the things that people used to say. Another victim blaming comment was, you know, well, why they were just in the hotel room, why didn't they just leave? And I don't think people fully understand the complexity of mind manipulation and how that really plays into your psyche and the fear that's involved in that. And so I decided to write this novel and really give context to exactly how, like, take you step by step on how something like this can actually happen, so that it kind of leaves no real room for questions. I mean, there's always questions, but no real room for actual questions onto how someone can do this to somebody.
Absolutely. No, you did your job on that one, girl. You really did, because I'm telling you, I mean, I've been, you know, in the business and just been in life for a long time. And fortunately, you know, I've been blessed in terms of nothing like that happening to me. But of course, I know so many people that it has. And even in talking to them, they can't really explain it. So in this novel format, you've really explained it. You've laid it right on out there. And
Thank you.
I congratulate you for that. So what would you say is probably the main thing that parents, especially because we know so many parents will do almost anything to get their kids into this business. What would you say the main thing parents should look out for in this situation, in situations like these, where kids want to be stars and somebody comes along, you know, it's as old as the movies, which is over 100 years old. I'm going to make you a star. What should parents do?
Well, I feel like parents should really focus on the relationship with their child. I feel like, you know, if you have a strong bond with your child and your child feels comfortable enough to come to you with anything that may be inappropriate, that's actually one fail safe on how you can protect your, you know, kids from inappropriate relationships. You also being a part of the entire process as well too, and this is also to say that you could still do all of these things and a perpetrator will find a way around it, which is exactly what happened in a lot of the situations in R. Kelly's circumstances. A lot of the parents were actually quite involved and there were still missteps. There is no rule book when it comes to being a parent. I believe I only have a dog child, but I'm just saying, I know there's no rule book for children. You know, you're born into this world, you really have no idea what you're doing. And so I say, you know, give yourself some self-compassion as well too, for the missteps that may potentially happen, but always, you know, instinctively have a way to have a close bond with your child so that if it may not be even this situation, they get into something else that, you know, may endanger their lives in some way, you want them to feel comfortable enough to still come and talk to you, or want to feel comfortable enough to talk to you.
Tiffany, has anything like this ever happened to you?
So yeah, this actually also was loosely inspired by a relationship, inappropriate relationship that I had. My first boyfriend was 22 and I was 15. And I also kept that as a very dark secret from my family. No one actually knew until like very recently, like this whole book coming out. And I didn't realize that it was actually an inappropriate relationship or how wrong it was until I was an adult. And until I actually this was after college, and finally said something to someone and they were like, yeah, that wasn't okay. And, you know, through therapy and just sort of my own self-work, I was able to unpack a lot of it and realize, and writing Grown was somewhat of a cathartic opportunity for me to sort of like see my own self and see my own somewhat missteps. But at the end of the day, you know, I definitely come forward as someone who was, you know, a victim, but also as someone who, you know, I'm not defined by my victimhood. I'm not defined by my mistakes. I am not what I've done. I'm what I've become. And at the end of the day, I definitely have moved away from that situation. I graduated from college and grad school. I had a thriving career in film and television, and now I'm a published author. So to me, I feel like I'm hoping I'm a beacon of light for other people and other girls who may be in these circumstances who are trying to find their way out as well too, which is one of the reasons why I make the parents in the book Grown, the parents and her community so like invested in her, and they never give up on her. And I want, you know, girls to really see that as well.
Well, it's important, you know, right? Of course, this week there's always a big story every week. This one, it's the story about the Netflix series Cuties.
Yes.
Which I have not seen, although I've seen promos of it. And the big controversy is, why are we allowing anybody to show girls this provocatively at this particular time? What's your opinion on that? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. I've seen a lot of the controversy around it. I was probably going to try to watch it this weekend. The unfortunate thing is that, you know, I think a lot of the marketing set the show up wrong. Because the show is good, it's supposed to touch upon that. So the marketing that Netflix did sort of over-sexualized these girls on top of that, which is also an issue that we've already deal with in the Black community. We have girls, particularly Black girls, who are over-sexualized at a very early age. When Black girls do, you know, their little TikTok dances or whatever, you know, they're like, oh, they're being too grown and fast and they're too sexy. But when like white girls do it, it's very cute and endearing.
It's cute.
And
Yes.
we have a lot of that psyche playing into our communities of the idea about being grown. And, to be honest, a lot of that is rooted in protection, especially, since we have been treated, over sexualized and adultified since our enslavement. And because of that, we tend to, people tend to feel that like Black people, or particularly Black girls, just know more than other people, etc. And so because of that, it sort of keeps dripping down into, every single generation. And this is our opportunity to actually stop that, to sort of put away with the thoughts of being grown, and to actually start treating Black girls like children, like affirm their childhood. And so I'm hoping that that's something that we can, in the midst of, this whole Me Too movement, is to also have some, conversations within our own community about how we could make children feel like children.
Like yeah. Have you found though that, honestly, that there's been a lot of conversation in our communities, and I'm talking about Black folks, about hashtag Me Too? Seriously?
I think there has been, especially since Tanya Hart is actually the founder of the Me Too movement, and she's a Black woman.
Oh yeah.
And she definitely doesn't get, she did definitely get shine, but I feel like she should get all the praise and all the flowers for really like starting this. But do I feel like I feel like it's definitely getting there, that we're talking about it a lot more than we have in the past. And, a lot of people, it's very much it's a reckoning. It's a self-awakening as well too. I've talked to, my friends from college who openly admitted and said like, yeah, maybe some of the things that I did were wrong. And at least you're acknowledging that. At least you're looking back at your past and saying, I was not a perfect person. And, I got this from, my big homie taught me this, or, I learned this from my dad, or, I thought this is the way you were supposed to like date girls and stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot of awakening happening within our community, and it's slow moving. I'll say that it's definitely slow moving, but at least it's happening, which before that wasn't happening at all. It was very a hush hush, we never talk about, things that happen inside the home. We don't, but that's home business, everything is behind the curtain. But now we're starting to talk about it more, and I hope that we continue the conversation.
Well, I do too. It's important. I know I, at this stage in my life, I'm talking to some of my friends about stuff that we saw happening. So we're doing the same thing, believe me. Yeah. And realizing that people that we knew were like, oh my God, that's what that was. She was abused. I mean, we didn't know what to call it, or nobody would talk about it. Nobody would say anything. So that reckoning is going on, I think, cross-generational for women, period. Which is a good thing. Which leads back to great authors like you that are really doing something. And I love the way, like I said, for your new book, Grown, it really brings all of the folks that we kind of know and love in pop culture. I know, Beyonce's name comes up, a couple of other folks come up that young girls and folks can relate to today. So this is, and you did that intentionally, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I make this book very relatable in terms of how you read it. There's text message conversations, there's emails, there's, transcripts. I want it to feel as present day as possible, so that kids can really sort of feel their way through the book and feel like this is actually something that happens in real life.
Because it really does. It really does. What are your expectations? I know you're probably, well, normally you would be headed off for a book tour today, probably all over the country. So now you're doing it like this, I would assume.
Yes, I'm doing a virtual book tour, and I start tonight. I'll be at Books Are Magic, which is in Brooklyn. And most of my information is on my through my social media accounts and stuff like that. I'm at Write in BK, WRITEINBK, and it's actually, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of nice doing this from home, especially this is such a personal book, a personal topic. a hard topic. And it's nice to sort of be able to be in my safe space and still be able to talk to people on Zoom. Technology is amazing. And so getting to be able to talk to people on Zoom and still have these like very deep conversations and know that these conversations are still happening even after we turn off the camera. I think, that is my hope for all of this. And at the end of the day, I do hope that, girls who are potentially still in situations like this, I hope they are inspired. I hope they are inspired to get out. There's resources in the back of the book for anyone who needs help. And there's also resources also on the website. There's also a content warning for anyone reading the book, because this book can be very triggering. And if you're not ready to face some of those things or face some of those issues that we talk about in the book, proceed with caution. And I think that this book will hopefully sort of change the conversation.
I absolutely agree. You've done just a masterful job on this. We're excited for you and proud to meet you and know you're going to do other great things, I'm so sure. Do you think, one of the things that unfortunately with the pandemic, child abuse has increased a lot. And even though I figure, people aren't out like say they are like we were all out in February, even of this year, where you're going out and doing things and doing concerts. Do you think that girls are still finding themselves in this position even during the pandemic?
Oh, absolutely. And which is unfortunate because there are so many kids who, their outlet was school, their outlet was, extracurricular activities, their way to find help has been sort of taken from them, which is unfortunate in a lot of circumstances. And I hope that they still have access to the means to be able to find a way to get back to teachers, either through, these Zoom classes or whatever the case is. I want them to feel brave enough to do, hard work and finding help. So I guess to answer your question, it is quite scary that there is a lot of that still happening. There has been a huge number uptick at RAIN. That's rain.com. RAIN has actually said that there has been a huge uptick of abusive relationships, a huge uptick in their call line. A lot of people are calling in. So it's happening everywhere, and it's unfortunate. And this is one of the other reasons why I'm really hoping that we find a solution to dealing with COVID that keeps everyone safe.
I know. Yeah. Well, that's a whole other story on another day. But just thinking about what you were saying about people trying to stay safe. Yes, you do have those resources and list numbers in the book. You know what? It just dawned on me. Is there any kind of way to get this on like school reading lists? Because even though I know it's provocative, we've had other provocative stuff on school reading lists. Have you thought about that? As a publisher, thought about this? Because honestly, this is where that should be.
It's definitely. I definitely. I'm not sure if it's on reading list yet since it just came out.
It just came out. No.
Yeah, for sure. But definitely a lot of teachers. I do a lot of school visits for my other books and stuff like that. So a lot of teachers have, already said like, oh my God, we're talking about this book, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm actually really excited to eventually be able to go back to school and talk to kids about this book and talk to hear their stories as well too. So this is the hope, yes, that eventually it does become somewhat of a required reading. If for no other reason to be in the shoes of a character like Enchanted and learn what she had to go through, so that you have the actual empathy and compassion for real people, real victims that are out here.
Right. Plus just the joy of reading, I mean, I think kids are sort of getting back to that somewhat. Maybe, but I really can see that happening.
Yeah.
The whole idea of reading a book and especially now during this particular pandemic era, where it's a good thing to do and it's a quiet thing to do. And I think this is one of the books and the other part of this, and it's something I have always said, how do we get young men engaged in this conversation? Because we cannot, it's not going to get any better unless the men get better. And they've got to learn this from a young age. How do we get
Yeah.
them engaged?
I think you can still give them these type of books. You'll be surprised, especially since, you know, I do a lot of school visits. I also visit a lot of detention centers and prisons. A lot of men and boys read books, particularly like
Yeah, they
this.
do.
And so there's absolutely no reason why you can't give a child this type of book and have a conversation with them. It's also about making it a household read. I love the parent and child like kind of like book clubs, or they get to actually, you know, sort of meet each other on the same plane and talk about a book and sort of absorb it. And I think that's one of the best ways to sort of communicate and engage with your child, than from a different level of the parent-child relationship dynamic.
Mhm. Well, you know, the other thing I have to mention, because I talked about my little earrings at the very beginning, and I know the
Yes.
promotion is over, but on the cover of your book, which they will see as we're doing this as well, the lady on there has these earrings on, and you did a fabulous promotion for these. These aren't exactly the promotional ones, but I said, let me go out and see if I can find some like this.
Oh my gosh.
Tell us about that promotion. I thought that was brilliant.
Well, we did a promotion where we, if you pre-order the book, you got these big bamboo earrings, like hers, that said "grown" on it, which is actually from the cover, and that's actually basically one of my staples is bamboo earrings and some red lipstick, and just go about my day. So it was actually kind of fun seeing that, like, and seeing now everyone wearing their earrings and stuff like that. So it's gonna be great. We'll try to get you some.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have some left that we can send to you, because you have to have the
Oh,
real ones. You gotta have the real ones.
I gotta have the real ones. Yeah,
Yes.
these are fake. I'm just letting everybody know these are not the real ones. They're really kind of fake,
But
but
they
they look
look, they
cute
look,
today.
they look good.
They look good. Somebody asked me, was I trying to rock a Mary J. Blige look when I put them on? But I ain't gonna say who. Anyway, loves Mary J. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I'm doing here today. So, what's up next for you now? What are you working on? So, when you finish a book like this and you do the tour, do you start on the next one immediately, or how does that process work for you?
Yeah, I'm actually working on my next one, which actually is going to come out next year, and it's a psychological horror. So it's like sort of my first foray and into the horror genre space, which I'm really excited about. But the next book that actually comes out after this is in January. It's a Malcolm X story. I co-wrote with his daughter Ilyasah Shabazz, and it's called The Awakening of Malcolm X. And it takes place during his prison sentence and him finding Allah in the midst of it as well.
Wow, is this a novel as well? This is not a novel.
Yes, it
Is
yes,
a
it's a
novel.
fiction. It's a fictional
It is a
novel.
fiction.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, that's going to be fascinating. Well, you know, I
Yeah.
love the fact that our history is finally being told by us,
Right.
and that our stories are being told by us. So,
Right.
I would imagine, has anybody started approaching you yet about turning one of your novels into a movie?
Yeah. My agent is hard at work.
I love this. Would be, you know what? This would be a good one.
Yeah, I
I
mean, I
think.
believe it too.
Yeah, I think this would really be a good one. And what would just I know that you got to go and get on to your next call, but what would you like to leave with the audience about the book Grown that they should know? A little passage or whatever you would just want to say about
Hmm. I guess the biggest thing I want people to leave with is the idea of, oh, that's a good question. I basically want people, especially young girls, to know that there is a community that's looking out for them,
it.
and
Yeah.
that we are fighting for you, and we do believe you, and you're not alone.
Sounds like a good plan to me. And no, no one is alone, even though I know a lot of people are struggling right now. We know that, you know, for everybody out there watching this, that we're there for you anytime you need. Just call. And whatever you do, pick up Tiffany's book, Tiffany Jackson. It's called Grown. It's a must read for our times today. Tiffany, thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you so much for
you're
having
quite
me.
special. You really are. Take care,
All
darling. We'll
right.
see. Well, hey, we'll get you back for January for the
Yeah,
Mount.
definitely, for sure.
Definitely
All
want to
right.
talk about that. Okay.
All right.
All
Okay.
right. Have a great one. Stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, everybody. Tanya Hart here. It's Hollywood Live Extra. And boy, my guest today is a legend in his own time, not just in his own mind, as co founder and lead singer for the iconic group New Edition. Yes, it's one and only Ralph Tresvant. Ralph, hey.
Hi, Tanya Hart. How you doing?
I'm doing just great talking to you and seeing you, even in COVID, you
I know,
know.
I know. You look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. You know, we hold up pretty good. You know what they say, good black don't crack. But
That's right.
you,
You are testimony. You are true testament to that right now.
well, I got to tell you, and the reason he's saying that, everybody, is because when I first met you, Ralph, I think you were in junior high school, uh, with, when you guys were just forming the group New Edition. And a guy by the name of Maurice Starr called me up one day and he said, I'm putting together these groups. I want you to help me out. And we did all of those Hollywood shows, those talent shows
Yeah.
in Roxbury and Dorchester. What do you remember about those days? Do you remember any of that stuff?
I remember it very well. What I remember most is that it was about, I know that he used to do them over the course of 3 days, and it was probably almost 100 acts on
Yep.
those shows when he would do them. It was at the Strand Theater
Yep.
in Boston. And it was bigger than life to us back then. We were so young and so small, never been part of anything like that. So when he started doing the Hollywood Talent Night, he first did a preliminary that was at a place called Roscoe's Lounge, which was right outside of the projects, right where we lived. And we went there and won entry into the Hollywood Talent Night. So I just remember being up there feeling like we're going to get lost in the midst of all these artists because there were so many performers over the course, like I said, about 3 days. And so when we got up there, lo and behold, we came in, at that time, the one that we ended up getting the contract from, we came in second place. We didn't come in first. It was for the recording contract and $500. So I remember it very well. So I remember going up there and feeling like, oh man, second. And we had our heads hanging down, like we weren't gonna get a chance to go. We went there for the money and for the recording contract, and that's all we was thinking about. And so when we came out of there, when we got on stage, he said, "You know what? I love these guys so much. I'm gonna bring them in the studio and record them anyways." And so that's what I remember. That's why I remember it, because that show we actually lost, but we still ended up being able to go in there and record the Candy Girl album.
Exactly. And nobody even remembers who was first runner, who won first place that night.
I
Just so you
can't
know.
remember. I can't remember. I think it was a group called the Boston Rappers, which I don't know. I don't even think they ever put a record.
No, I don't think so. I can tell you, I remember it too. Nope, they didn't. Nope, you guys were it. So, Ralph, I got to tell you, I love the All Mine. You are bringing back what we used to call grown and sexy music again.
Yeah.
You and Johnny Gill. Let's talk a little bit about the album, and then we can go back and talk about the old days again. But this new cut is the beginning of hopefully a lot of new stuff.
Absolutely. It's the first one. Actually, All Mine was submitted for Johnny. And Johnny heard the song and said, "No, this sounds like my brother." So he called me up and told me I need to come by. Well, he sent me the song, and I liked it. So I said, he said, "Well, let's come over here." I recorded it at his house. But the reason why we ended up using that as the song to reintroduce into me back into the music industry, it's been a while since I put any music out. So my first release for a long time. The reason why we chose that one is because the song "Perfect," with Johnny singing the lead and me being featured on his song, was doing so well. I just felt like while that energy is going on and people are really into that combination, let's continue it. The song sounded perfect. The producers on it have a track record of winning out there with a lot of artists. And Johnny sounded amazing. It was just one of those songs that was a no-brainer. So let's use this one to get it going. And so far, so good. So far, so good.
Yeah, in fact, we've got a little bit of a clip for everybody to enjoy in case you haven't seen it. Check it out. Okay, then now we're out of the clip. Okay, you know what I really love about these? Where did you guys get those cars? I mean, I love that red GTO.
Oh my goodness, those cars right out here from where I live, they were rented to producer Rage, director Rage. He produced, he brought the cars up. Actually, there was supposed to be two other cars, but my
Mm.
take was I wanted to do stuff that's more believable and true to me and the cars I grew up. Could easily got some Lamborghinis or some Maybachs or something and try to floss like we're doing it, Big Willie and all that. Johnny actually owns Bentleys and stuff like that. I don't have those kind of cars. I just got regular old cars. But muscle cars have always been something I used to do the toy models with and all that stuff. So it was dear to me. So when we got there, there were two other cars that were actually the cars that we had chose. And the night before the video shoot, I got a call saying the car that I was supposed to actually drive in the video had gotten into an electric fire. It burnt up.
Oh, geez.
And so the place that was renting them, I wouldn't rent the one Johnny was trying to get. So, yeah, they just stopped them from being able to rent anything. The fire department came in and said, no, you can't do this. So those guys came in and they shut it down. I got a guy coming up on me, blowing the lawn blower. But
That what
yeah,
we're hearing in the background?
can you hear it? Yeah.
Uh,
He just came up on me all of a sudden. He don't know what I'm doing. Hold on, let me give him a second.
okay. Okay, no problem. It's an LA thing, people.
He is doing. He said in the other direction now. Let's see.
Okay, yeah, we didn't have those back in Roxbury back in the days. There were no lawn blowers out there in those
We
days.
didn't have any of
Snow
that.
blowers.
But yeah, so at the last second, they ended up going in and finding another place that had those two cars, and it worked out. But it still was
Oh,
able to find the muscle cars because I thought we was doomed to have to go get something, typical, something everybody's doing in the videos, and
yeah.
I didn't want that. So they
Well,
worked out.
that's what it struck me. I mean, I love muscle cars too, but I was like, oh man, not only are they cool, look at the cool cars they're in. So, all mine. So everybody wants to know, when is the new edition reunion?
I don't know. We're talking about it now. We just finalized some things behind the scenes that had to deal with just one of the things that kind of fell apart after the New Edition story and fell apart
Yeah,
after the Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony. We were supposed to do a run then and it fell apart for all kinds of reasons. But one of the reasons that we weren't able to move is because some of the business stuff wasn't done. When me and Johnny secured the trademark a while back, it was always just the intention of just securing it so that we would own
mhm.
it. We had never owned it. We didn't know it was floating around. We thought we owned it as a group. So when we
Oh,
was
really?
trying
The
to,
trademark for new edition? You didn't know?
we didn't even know nobody owned that. We thought that was already in the group's hands. But when we was going in to do the heads of state with me, Bobby, and Johnny,
Right.
we were securing that name, and the lawyer popped up and said, "Listen, I did a search while I'm doing this. A new edition is floating around, man. Guys need to grab that before it's in the wrong hands." So that's what we did. And so coming out of that, we just finished. Everybody's ink is on there now. It's dried, and we're starting to talk about how to reconvene, after what didn't happen after the story and all that stuff that we were supposed to do.
Right.
We're sitting around trying to find the best way to do that now. So sometime
Well,
soon,
oh,
I'm
good.
yeah, I think sometime going into next year, you'll start seeing more things from the group via merchant, just things overall where we'll keep
Mhm.
spreading the New Edition energy around.
Very good, because everybody else is doing that. All these other groups have revamped and they're out there. Of course, right now, nobody's really on tour, but by the time you all are ready, everybody will be back on tour again. So it's perfect.
Absolutely. We should have some records, have some things together so that we can be able to capitalize on it.
Did you like the BET series, New Edition? It was, I think, 3 or 4 nights. It was the highest rated series ever on BET. What did you feel about it? Did you like it? Did you like the way they portrayed you?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought that, there's so much stuff that could have been talked about. It's like hard to take 40 something years and put it into either a movie. The movie would have been even, shorter. It would have been even
Right.
harder. And so the best way to do it was to unfold it over 3 nights the way that we did it with BET. But I thought we got to the parts that needed to be, the things that you couldn't leave out and tell the story properly and get a better picture of the journey of New Edition. So the actors, they did their thing. from the little
Didn't
actors
they?
to the big actors. Everybody nailed it. I just, you know, I wished it to me. I wished it could have gone into more of a series thing, so we could have did another 3 or maybe 4 episodes to kind of get more into detail about moments and stuff like that. Because we just kind of surfaced it when you get into the projects, but couldn't get into the schools and the forced busing that I went through in Boston and some of the stuff like that. That would have been good to be able to see people to get people to get an even more give them more insight of what we had to deal with and with the upbringing that we were coming and why it was so important for New Edition to form and come out of them areas like that, like we did. You know, just the poverty level, the racism levels, and just all of the different things that we had, the obstacles in general. Getting more in detailed with those could have happened, but you know, you only have a little bit of time, and the budget is at a certain level. You want to just get. We weren't able to get to that detailed with it, so that's one of the things I missed. Some of the
Yeah.
details that could have been addressed a little bit closer. Family members closer. Mom, like Johnny's mom and dad, wasn't even mentioned in the movie. You know, you couldn't get into his life before New Edition and Stacey Lattisaw and leading into the group and all those kind of things. I think, you know, if we had more time and more budget, it would have happened. So if we could have done just a few more nights, I would have been even happier. But believe me, I felt like for what it was and what we were working with, it came out excellent.
They came out. They really they did a good job. There were a couple of things too that I felt. I'm like, I know they left that out, and I'm not even sure if this is correct. But you know what? It is what it is. So, and like I said, we're all still here doing this. You know, it's so funny because I was listening. I listened to New Edition a lot. I mean, it's still, you know, you look at all these boy bands that came around after you, and I look at what is it, K-pop. I
Yeah,
mean, if K-pop did not, it's almost like, oh, do they know New Edition and Maurice Starr because they're doing the same steps, they're singing the same riffs. How does it make you feel? I mean, it's kind of a complimentary, I would imagine, but
when I watched it, I'm not quite sure how. You know, I feel like to me, our fan base is our fan base, and they know what we are and what we've done. So I just take pride in that overall. But I think a lot of the industry kind of slept on New Edition and Mari Star and our contribution to the music industry. I used to see this business of music, the books and all that. I would hear artists that we helped get in the game, from Boys to Men and New Kids on the Block being addressed. A lot of countdowns and stuff that I would see, and I wouldn't see us on these things. So, you know, I, um, overall, I think that the movie helped reintroduce it in a way where more people got put up on the group's journey. Maurice is being a major part of why it even got out there in the first place, and um, just kind of caught them up on it a little bit with that. But we've always been kind of been the underdogs and always having to seem like every time we came out with a new project, having to reprove, hey, we belong here, and we've been doing some major things. Da 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 da. So I don't look past it in terms of I know we had some influence on them, whether they understand that or realize that at themselves or vicariously. It's one of those things that they just picked up on some of the energy and some of the things that we've done throughout the years. That's been winning. You know, that's the type
yeah,
of stuff. It's the type of stuff that the fans and the public like. So talking
yeah.
about choreography and the type of runs, whether you grab them directly from New Edition or something that you realize over time the fans like, um, and kept it and incorporated it that way, we still was a major influence on it. So
Yeah, no matter how, and you still are. I mean, that's the better part of it, you know, that's not going away. And looking at kind of the cycle that music has gone through, you know, we all gone, uh, even I myself, and I'm a little bit older than you, have lived through several genres of music that have been really popular, you know, R&B, jazz, and then rap, which is like America's music now. And now we're back to coming around to something else. And I really think, and I've been telling people, R&B is going to come back. It
yeah,
just, because it has to, because everything is cyclical. But not only that, at some point, the way R&B, I mean, looking at this, you know, you're all mine.
mhm.
Um, it's your ode to womankind. It's kind of, you know, the way I look at it. And people at this particular time in history, I think they need that. I don't know. How do you feel?
That was my take on it. when I started looking for records and when we heard the song, it just felt like it's time for this type of record. It has a perfect blend between, I think, now and then, where it's not too
Mhm.
old, but it's not too young, where it's not believable coming from me. It feels like I'm chasing the Chris Browns or the Weekend,
Mm.
who's out there now as young artists. It didn't feel like that to me, but I've made that in one of the statements prior to releasing the record, that it was a statement record. It was one of those records that I wanted to. When I heard it, I felt like it was done right. And when the subject of love is approached and done right, it never goes out of style. It always wins. It always hits hearts. It always touches people in a way where it's just what everybody really wants to feel. Deep down, everybody just wants to feel and be about love. And, you know, they want to love and they want to be loved. So at the end of the day, when you think about the song and those kind of titles and topics, I felt like this was a good time to interject some of that into the public, into the world. Got the
And
COVID.
especially now, I mean, you look at all of the, I mean, there's just so much craziness. We don't even need to go into it. But, I'm thinking about all the protests in the street. In fact, I recently wrote a piece about the busing days in Boston, because most people, unless you were there, you have no idea. I mean, there were riots in the streets
Yeah,
and National Guard. And this was like not a story that a whole lot of people knew about. It's kind of like now.
I really
And so,
think that. Yeah.
yeah, so when you look at that and look at where we are today, what would you say? And, I know you're a dad, and, what do you say to your children? What should we be saying to these kids?
So tough, it really is. We're all trying to figure it out, right, Tanya? It's like I don't have no perfect answer for that. It's like, so it's still kind of in its infancy when you think about it. It was only what, January or so when they started locking us,
Right.
quarantining us and stuff. So it's so soon to really talk about a solution. I just think that overall we got to start caring and loving and um, getting closer. You know what I mean? All this
Mhm.
separation and this I'm gonna do me attitude and I'm gonna get mine attitude is kind of something that should be thrown out the window at this point. We got to move
Mhm.
on doing it. We got to move. We got to get closer so that the better ideas and the better um, ways of trying to come out of this are put on the table. We can all hear them simultaneously and put the strongest to the front, and that kind of thing. But with everybody, you just got these isolated pockets of people coming up and trying to make a point, and coming up trying to make a statement of some sort. But the collective move doesn't seem to be coming together yet. And to me, that's what it seems like we need. We need to come together. My kids wise, trying to tell them the same thing. You know, um,
Mhm.
don't do it. Don't go into situations and do things that can provoke madness, because it seems like it's everywhere and it's around every corner. So a lot of what they do is what they've been doing, staying away from just hanging out and doing all of the crazy stuff that we used to could do, because it wasn't, I guess it wasn't as bad. The climate wasn't as hot. It's always been there, but right now it just seems to be a target going on. And for them, I just tell them to stay focused on whatever they can do behind closed doors or in areas that's more controlled. Don't
Mhm.
go out there doing obviously can't do the club things and all of that kind of stuff, but the hanging out in the streets, and just limit that stuff right now until we can get a better handle on what's going on. And
Yeah.
um and and um and taking it day by day,
Right.
showing them
Well,
who.
I think everybody has to vote too. And I'm just putting it out there. Don't just vote. Get crazy man out of there. Vote for
That's
Biden. I don't care how you feel about them. Anything's better than crazy person. So
that's without a doubt. That's without a doubt. Make your voice heard. Make sure that you get in there and be a part of that. Absolutely, that's a
yeah.
must. That's a must. So I didn't even think of going there. That's just so a staple in my house. Like, since I was able to start voting, hey, get in there and do what you got to do, but make your voice heard. Um, but yeah, there's so many different things we're all still trying to figure out that I don't have no one perfect answer. Just always sharing different
Mhm.
videos, different things that I come across with them, and making sure that they're seeing what's going on, and making sure that their focus is on how crazy it is out here, so they don't jump in the middle of it or be a victim of it. That's pretty much all. I can
Yeah,
do.
that's true. And but it, I'm also trying to give kids hope these
Yeah,
days because I'm finding that they don't have a lot of hope. And I can understand that. Unlike when we were coming up, after a certain period, we kind of realized, oh, the world is really, we can do whatever we need to do here. That, we kind of came up with that.
right.
Even when resources weren't there, we still felt that.
Yeah,
And I don't know if kids today are feeling that.
yeah. I don't know either. I don't hear them talking about that kind of stuff. I don't hear
Yeah.
all kids when I'm going on some of the forums. I watch my children and see what they're thinking about, and I hear what their conversations are to their friends and all that stuff. And yeah, I don't have that sense of. I don't feel that sense of hope. That to
Yeah.
them this is the way it is now, and I don't know. They just have this can't wait till it gets over type of thing. They just like don't have any answer to try to s- push it to be over. They just kind
Hmm.
of wait to come out of the blue one day and say, "All right, now everything's back to normal again." That's kind of what I'm feeling from them. Like they think that's gonna happen,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's not gonna happen like that. We all got to come
No, it
together.
is not. They're going to really have to carry this banner for us
Yeah.
at some point, because it's going to be their turn. And I'm just really, but I'm the glass half full girl as usual. So I'm just going to pray and hope that they kind of get that together. So back to the whole music thing. I don't know. Did you see Patti LaBelle and Gladys the other night when they
I
did their?
missed a lot. Watch some of it back. What did you think? How was it? I saw just a piece of it. It seemed like they was having
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, they had so much fun, and a lot of people are doing that. So I was gonna say, if we were gonna have a new edition square off against what other group? What group would that be?
I don't have a clue. I really don't know. I would keep telling people we would square off against each other. We have so many groups within New Edition.
That's
That
true. Okay.
we sit there and Bobby Brown versus VVD versus Johnny Gill versus Ralph Tresvant versus New Edition. So
There you go.
we could work it out in house and probably have a great one where it would be a lot of fun for everybody to watch. But I can't, maybe Joe to see if we had to do it another way, more Boys to Men or somebody like that. Um, I
But
heard
you
Luke.
know what?
I heard Luke.
I think you just said it because I don't think any of those other groups could do it quite like you all with all of the different incarnations that you've had as a group.
We have so much catalog and so many records. After about 3 albums or so, the other groups that I could think of would start running out of records, and we still probably have 5 or 6 albums to go. Meaning between the individual stuff
Right,
and New
right.
Edition, it's just so much catalog there that it's hard to find an artist that could really stand, record for record with us like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
That'll be tough.
yeah. That would be tough. You were so right. We're going to put that out there like that too, because maybe that's the way we get New Edition back together in a reunion.
Maybe. How about that? How about
How
that? We
about
just
that?
do verses against each other and just have fun one day in front with the fans and everybody. That'd be fun.
Oh, that's what you all should do. I'm telling you. That would be it. I bet you get some of the highest numbers of anybody out there doing this. Doing it
Nah,
just like that.
it'd be
There
fun.
you go.
We'll see. We're talking now, and I know a lot of them. We're all knowing how important or how big these verses have been to the fans and people that you can't go to concerts. So this has been a great outlet for everybody to be able to get some of that energy.
Right.
So I'm sure they will come to the table when we're sitting around talking with each other.
Yeah, no, I'm loving that. So everybody go out and get All Mine, download that. And now this is part of an album, right? That's coming, or this is
Sometime,
the single.
absolutely, we're working on the rest of the album now. Got Jimmy Jam and Terry Lou. I got some of the iconic people on there that I've worked with in the past. Trying to sing with some of the new guys. Hopefully, get a collab or two from some of the new guys. Just trying to do something special and different. It's been a long time since I did an album, so I just want to make sure that it's right. But it's probably sometime in 2021. We're gonna first follow up All Mine, obviously, once we finish doing whatever we got to do with it. And that's what I'm looking for right now. Trying to find that next song that can come behind All Mine properly. And
Mm-hmm.
then somewhere going into the new year, drop the full album.
Oh, I'm loving it. Ralph, I am just so pleased to speak with you and see you today. And gosh, just remembering some of those good times. Just so you know, I did speak with Maurice, his mom, and his brother for about an hour and a half about 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
One Sunday, we were just out riding around because there's nothing else to do. And my husband said, why don't you call Maurice? And I called, and we talked for an hour and a half. And this was one of the things we talked about. I said, well, you know, Ralph is coming out. Ralph and Johnny have this new thing on mine, and I'm trying to interview him. So he says hi.
Nice. That's my dude, man. And he's doing much better, right? He's feeling better?
Yes. He sounded terrific. He sounded
That's
terrific.
what I've been waiting to hear. That's what I've been waiting to hear because I've talked to him a few times. I talked to him once after he first got sick. He was coming right out of the movie. He was coming right out of doing the movie. He flew out here. He had some of his one of his groups with him, and I saw him then. He looked great. Like nothing was absolutely going on. And then when he got home, you know, all of that junk, all that mess happened. But I've got a chance to talk to him on the phone once since then. But he was real weak, still weak at that time. I was so glad to hear you saying that he's sounding strong.
Oh, he did.
Give him my love when I speak to him. I got to reach back out to him myself.
I will. I'm going to make sure that they see this too. Because Michael's got some stuff. His brother Michael is doing some gospel stuff that he's coming out. We're going to try to work with him on that. So I'll make sure that they, when we get all this together, that we'll make sure they see this.
Brothers are still doing it, man. Michael Johnson.
Yeah, man, the Johnson brothers. Those were the days.
Yeah,
Ralph, thank you so much. Thanks for spending the time.
You know the pleasure's mine. And anytime, you let me know if you want me back or you need me for anything, I'll be right here, Tanya. You just let me know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And in fact, as soon as, you know, you guys figure out what you want to do, I'd like to get all of you on. I mean, who knows? Maybe we can even go into a studio and do some real stuff then. You know?
How about that?
Yeah. Maybe they will have found a vaccine for COVID and we can all be normal again. Let's hope.
Right. That's what we're working on, right? Trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we will.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, we will. You stay safe. Be strong and love you much. Keep that music going.
I'm gonna keep it going as much as I can till the wheels fall off. You already know. Can't stop now. This is
what I said. I guess I'll keep going till the wheels fall off. And thank God that hasn't happened yet. So here we are.
I got a couple of spares. These wheels fall off. I got some spare tires in the back. They ain't gonna mess with me.
Okay. Love you much. Stay strong, everybody. Ralph Tresvant, new edition, solo career, more songs out there than anybody else. We thank him today for joining us. And check out all mine. You know, in fact, you can probably see the rest of the video right here. I'm Tanya Hart. This is Hollywood Live Extra. See you next time. Thank you so much for joining us for Hollywood Live Extra. You can check out lots of content here at AURN online and at Tanya Hollywood. Don't miss it because, boy, we got a lot of stuff going on.